Okay, so an official welcome. It is the last Learning and Development Roundtable of 2020. And I thought that given everything going on in the world and feedback from last roundtable, that it would be a good idea to focus on health and wellness. So no matter where you are in the world, I cut this welcome. So I'm just letting some more folks in. Welcome, Judy. I cut this welcome sign out from the newspaper many years ago, and I just want you to know wherever you're at, however much energy you have right now. Welcome, Judy. However your day has started or is beginning to unfold. Uh, I want you to know, you're welcome because you're single, twice divorced, under 30, gay, filthy rich, poor as dirt, can't sing, married with pets, older than God, workaholic, bad speller, screaming babies, significant others, passive aggressive, obsessive compulsive, tourist seekers, doubters, bleeding hearts, oh, and you. So however you come to be here, thank you so much for carving out time to be with us. And this, by the way, we're going to be talking about wellness today, but this is no comment on any particular type of religion. But I just thought that this would be a really lovely way to welcome you all. So congratulations, you're here, you've carved out time, you've made it. So the plan for today is to, is to map your stressors. We're going to look at a little bit of a way, some different kinds of stress that might surprise you, how to map our stress, the surprisingly simple way to handle stress. We are going to banish the hype about wellness and balance. We're going to just get rid of that. And we're going to discover innervism. There's a really great term that I found when I was doing research for you to get ready for this workshop. And then the bulk of our time, we're going to spend practicing with 18 different, very simple, very fun, very easy techniques to help you with your balance, your wellness, rather, during this time of upheaval and change and stress. So a little bit about me before I turn it over and see who's on the call. This is an exercise that I like to do called Two Truths and a Wish. So two of these things are true about me, and one of these things is a wish. So two of these things are true, and one of them is a wish. So let me know in the chat which number you think is the wish. So is number one the wish? A guinea fowl feather is part of my wellness. Okay, is that the wish? Number two, is this the wish that I meditate regularly? Or number three, is this the wish that dancing is a key part of my wellness? So feel free to pop in the chat. Which of those things do you think is the wish? So Camille is saying number two is the wish. Mayumi, hi Mayumi. Mayumi and Donna are saying three. Stephen's saying one. Alexandra's two. Esther and Bettina and Diana are one. Diego's two. Florence is two. Okay, great. Thank you so much for participating. Daniela's saying two. Okay, so number one, yes, a guinea fowl feather is part of my wellness. I'll put this in the follow-up resources, which Learning and Development Roundtables get. But I learned this technique, or I adapted it from Emmanuel Jal, who was a former child soldier and a dear, dear friend, an amazing activist and human being and performer and artist. And if I'm feeling a lot of stress, one of the things I do is take this, I'm not in my desk right now, so I can't show it to you, but I breathe out longer than I breathe in, and I pretend that I'm trying to keep this guinea fowl feather in the air. So that is true. Really, really simple. If we breathe out longer than we breathe in, it really, really helps regulate our stress. So number two, I meditate regularly. For those of you who guessed that, Florence, Mary, Danielle, and others, yes, that is the wish. So I do use an app to do some calm, centering and meditation, but I don't do it as regularly as I'd like to. So that's something I want to work on. So yes, number 3 is true. One of the things that makes me feel the most well, the most healthy, is dancing. It's my medicine. I absolutely love, love, love to dance. So yes, and if I didn't say, I don't think I said my name. For those of you who might be meeting me for the first time, my name is Leanne Reagan, and I am the founder and the facilitator of this Learning and Development Roundtable. I am about all things learning. So I design and deliver customized learning for all sorts of clients. I think I've worked with over 40,000 participants in and from more than 125 countries. And I focus on 3 things: working better together, which is all about team building, communication, conflict resolution, managing change, etc. And then I also work with tech tools, so helping clients feel in charge and harnessing the power of tech tools, because I think oftentimes people feel completely overwhelmed by tech. And then the third thing I do is I work with subject matter experts to help them design and deliver powerful learning. So that's a little bit about me. Kirsten's just joining us. Over to you. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, Kirsten. Welcome. Oh, Bettina has done tech tools with you. That's right. Yeah, that's great, Bettina. And Maureen's just joining us. Mayumi is saying regular meditation every day. You mean, ideally, Mayumi, I'd love to meditate every day. If I could just get, a couple of times in a week, that I think that would be great for me. But that's something I'm designing my learning plan for 2021. So that's one of the things I'm going to be thinking about, is what is feasible and reasonable for me. Okay, so over to you. I would love to know, where are you right now? What city or country are you in? Where are you right now? Feel free to pop that in the chat. Nairobi, Bonn, Bettina's in Bonn, Nairobi, Japan, Mayumi, welcome. Medina, oh, Diego, Rio is in, Rosa's in Rio, Geneva, Alexandra. If you're a regular Roundtable member, you'll have noticed that this is a different day and a time. So I was trying to include people in the MENA region, so we're not meeting on a weekend, and also a different time of the day. Alexandra's coming to us from Geneva, Diana's from Nairobi. Fantastic. And I invite you to unmute yourself for a second, just unmute yourself and say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever is true for you in your first language. And if you have more than one first language, feel free to use whichever language you like. So unmute yourself, and on the count of 3, say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
Good morning. Bon dia.
That's so great. Lindsay's just joining us. Welcome, Lindsay. Okay. Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, so it's like 6 in the morning here. So you're probably going to see the sun come up behind me here. And let me know if how many roundtables have you attended? Is this your first? Is this your third? Pop that in the chat. How many roundtables have you attended? Esther, this is your second. Welcome back. Welcome back, Esther. Mayumi, this is your second too. Welcome back, Mayumi. Hindi, this is your first. Oh, fantastic. A special welcome to you. Diego, this is your first, and Alexandra and Rosa, you're all your first. Diana, this is your fourth. Oh, it's so nice to see you here. Welcome back. Janet, this is your first. Mary's your first. Naomi's your second. Lindsay and Bettina, your second. Fantastic. I'm just so delighted. And Stephen, this is your first. So nice to have you here, Stephen. And tell me a little bit in the chat why you signed up. What is interesting you about this health and wellness workshop? What's the thing that made you decide, yes, I'm going to carve out that time to go to this workshop? So just pop in the chat what interests you about this topic. We have Betty is joining us. Welcome, Betty. Stephen is seeking tools and tactics to manage my team. Fantastic. Okay. Welcome, Betty. Florence is saying curiosity. Nice. Oh, that's a great motivation. Hind is saying, I just realized I might be a stress person. Never thought I was. Yeah. Stress can be very silent and quiet and sneak up on us. Bettina's saying the COVID situation is getting to me as I'm single with a cat and I'm really lonely. Oh, I hope you find some community here, Bettina. Skills to improve management, says Mary. To help manage my wellness, says Esther. Mayumi saying how I can balance teleworking and my private time at home. It's difficult. Absolutely. On a regular day, we would normally have a fair degree of stress, but it's been taken to a whole other level lately with the pandemic. So we're going to do 18 different strategies. So hopefully some of those will be useful to you. Okay, thank you. So a couple of announcements, just some quick housekeeping things. Jago saying, agree with Mayumi. Absolutely. So let me know what you think with this new time and day. I'm just experimenting. I had some requests from different time zones to hold on a different day of the week as well as a different time. So let me know how this time works for you. Pop a comment in the chat. I'm thinking, I haven't done the days of the 2021 roundtables yet because I'm waiting to see how people felt about this day, because I might switch back and forth between our regular time, which is 10 to noon Friday mornings, East African time zone, and this time here. So I know it's really hard to get a time zone that works with everyone. So let me know how you feel about that. And also make sure if you are a UN staff person and you want to get credit for this training, so the roundtables count towards your mandated staff training, make sure that you fill in the attendance sheet today. That link is on the agenda. And at the end of the workshop today, I'll also give you the link as well. So make sure you fill that in by the end of today. It's the typical worksheet you'd fill in if we were doing in-person training. And a special surprise, it's our birthday. It is our birthday. This is if you can believe it, the 8th year of the Learning and Development Roundtable, the 8th year. So just for a second, yeah, Esther, happy birthday. So just for a second, I'm going to stop the share here. And I am going to ask you to unmute yourself for a second. And we're going to sing a few bars of happy birthday. We're going to sing a few bars of happy birthday. So the louder you sing, the more no one will notice your voice. So don't be self-conscious. Crystal's just joining us here. Okay, so let me just share some music here. Welcome, Crystal. Okay. Okay, let me just go. And we've got Heather is joining us. Okay, here we go. So unmute yourself and here we go. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, dear Roundtable. Happy birthday to us. You're good sports. You're really good sports. Who knew that you would be singing this morning, right? Okay, and I want to make sure let Veronica in here. Oh, I love the different wishes that are coming in. That's fantastic. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen here. And please, I would love it if you would so in some traditions, we make a birthday wish and we blow out candles. So I would love to in the chat to have a wish for learning. What is your, the roundtable is all about learning and training and education and realizing that these sticky, challenging social problems that are facing us globally are not going to be solved by old thinking, that we really need to focus on learning and sharing. So feel free to pop a wish for learning in the chat. My wish for learning one of my many, many wishes would be that learning is more accessible to more people. Unfortunately, it can be very inaccessible for some folks. So accessible learning would be one of my wishes. So feel free to pop that wish in the chat. And happy birthday, 8 years, 8 years of roundtable meetings. Okay. So just a couple more housekeeping items before we jump into our topic. I am happy to share those 8 years of learning resources. The last maybe 2 years or 3 years have been recorded. And all of those learning, all the PowerPoints, all the handouts, everything is in a learning resource portal. So those get shared with members. So make sure if you want to receive those resources, make sure that you sign up for the roundtable. That link is in the agenda, and I will put that in at the end of our workshop today as well. I'll put that link in there. Oops, sorry folks. And Veronica's just joining us. Welcome, Veronica. So that's the link there. Again, I'll paste it and put it in the chat later on. And know that when you RSVP for one meeting, that's different from becoming a member of the roundtable. That's a different sign up. So sometimes that can get a little bit confusing. So if you want to get access to this recording, this audio recording, visual recording, the PowerPoint, all of the resources that I'm going to share, make sure that you've signed up. Watch your inbox. Once I figure out how this has gone at this time, I'll be sending out the meeting dates for 2021. But in the meantime, I wanted to get your input. Oops, sorry. Wanted to get your input on some meeting topics. So I am putting together, you should be able to see a poll. So let me know in the chat if you can see the poll. Just pop a yes in the chat. You should be able to see it now. Great, thank you. Thanks, folks. So this is a multiple choice, and you can pick as many as you like. So you don't have to pick just one. But when we're looking to our learning for the roundtable for 2021, what topics are you interested? How to create a learning plan for you and your team. Creating a simple, engaging plan for 2021. So that's not just focused on learning, that's an overall plan for your 2021. How to create a simple, useful, and oh, it's cut off there. Sorry, let me just pausing for a second. Josephine is joining us. That third one there is a learning audit. How to create a simple, useful, engaging learning audit. The other one there is training when you don't have time, an introduction to micro learning. And oh, that should say, oh yeah, top tips and techniques for teaching online. And then I am so open to other topics. So anything related to learning, feel free to pop those ideas in the chat if you have other ideas. So for those of you just joining, we're doing a poll on which topics are you interested in for future roundtable topics for 2021. And you can vote as many times as you want. I set the setting to, you can do more than one. So I'll just leave that open for a couple more seconds there. Are you interested in how to create a learning plan for you and your team? Creating a simple, engaging plan for 2021. That's overall a plan for yourself and or your team. How to create a simple, useful and engaging, oh gosh, that just skipped my mind now that it got cut off there. Oh, learning audit. That's a learning audit. So how to look at the learning in your team, in your unit, in your department, how to do a simple learning audit. How to train when you don't have time, an introduction. Well, this is really one of the trends right now in learning and development is micro learning. And how do you teach online? That would be the other one. So definitely the simple engaging plan for 2021 right now is a big thing. You can, and just if you're again coming in just now, you can pick more than one. You can pick as many topics as you like. Okay, so I'm going to end that poll in just a second. So if you haven't already make sure that you give your input there. Just leave it up for another second. People are still giving their input, which is great. Again, please, if you have other ideas for topics, please put those in the chat. Okay, great. So I'm just going to take a screen grab. Zoom does a great job of, if you're using, I know not many UN folks use Zoom, but for those of you who do, they do track the results, but not in a nice graph. So I just always take a screen grab of my polls. Okay, thank you. So this is the results. You should be able to just pop a yes in the chat if you can see the results. So lots of input there, which is great. And great, thanks for letting me know you can see it. Okay, so I am going to get focused, and very soon I'll give you the date, all the dates, not all the topics, but I'll give you all the dates for 2021. And I'll give you, I have a hunch that the first one in January is going to be on creating a simple, engaging plan for 2021. Okay. Great. Okay. So let's go. Let's see. I like this image here. Let's see how we can all pull together for our health and wellness. So let's dive in. Again, our topic here, we're going to map your stressors. We're going to look at some really simple ways to handle stress, and one that you might be very surprised by. I know there's a lot of hype about wellness and a lot of hype about balance. So I'll share some research with you to kind of banish that hype. I'm going to talk about innervism. By the way, has anyone heard of the term innervism? Pop your answer in the chat there. Have you heard of innervism? And then the bulk of the time, we're going to look at 18 simple, fun, free, easy techniques for health and wellness. Okay. Oh, great. Okay. So I'm just looking at the chat here. So I don't think anyone's heard of it. Yeah, it was new to me when I was doing this research. Okay. So that is our roadmap. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick, like maybe 15 minutes or so of sharing the research with you. And then we'll dive again, we'll spend the most of our time on these techniques. So one of the things I really wanted to talk about is about the context, right? The context that we are trying to keep well and trying to keep healthy. So obviously, but sometimes not so obviously, we need to be mindful that all of this is happening during completely unusual times of this global pandemic. So I think sometimes we hold ourselves to unrealistic expectations. So just to, the first simple thing I wanted to start off with is understanding that and giving ourselves some grace that we are in very, very, very unusual times. And also how we respond to that is very different. So we're taking this global context of this global pandemic, and then we're combining that with unique you. There has never, ever, ever been in the history of peoplekind someone exactly like you, and there will never be someone exactly like you. So some people are responding very well. Choices are limited. There's not this overwhelming options of things to do. So for some people, that can bring them some relief. For some people, I love this little image. For some people, they have children to take care of in the home. They're trying to learn how to teach and get them through school. And also I like this image because it represents sleep, right? Some of us are just incredibly tired all the time. Some of us are unwell and unhappy. That's a lot to manage. Some of us have too many people in our homes that we're sheltering with, and some people have not enough. We had that mentioned in the chat already, that the only person in the house, the only other being in the house is someone's cat, and they're quite lonely. Some of us are angry and overwhelmed, and some of us are afraid. COVID has touched people in very, very different ways. So I think it's really important to acknowledge the context of this health and wellness, and really put everything in context. And I love this quote. Meryl Streep, when she was giving, I believe it, when she was giving a talk about the late Carrie Fisher, she quoted this Carrie Fisher's quote, take your broken heart and make it into art. I don't know about you, I don't know if that touches you, but when I saw that quote, it really touched me. How can we take this very trying, very stressful, very overwhelming time and try to create something positive? Most, if not all, of the people on the call are involved in social change. So how can we use this to our benefit to really focus on affecting social change? I also wanted to give a really brief shout out to the context of trauma. And if you are someone who is having mental health issues, you've been clinically diagnosed, you're a survivor of trauma, really, really, I am not a trained therapist or psychologist, psychiatrist, a doctor, any of that. This is really all of my information comes from a learning and development perspective. So please, please, please seek help. If you're a UN staff, reach out to JMS, the Joint Medical Services, and if you're really struggling with some mental health issues. This is a book that has been really helpful in my path. If you're a survivor of trauma, Peter Levine has done some groundbreaking work that people have followed up in time since then. And this really taught me a lot about trauma. So just a really small resource. If you're really struggling with mental health, please seek specialized support for that. Also, just again, this context that we're operating in, did you know that it is impossible for us to multitask? That is a myth. It is not possible for us to multitask. I love these pictures of these people trying to eat and read and work and watch the baby and all of that. We actually do something called task switching. So we literally cannot pay attention to two different things at the same time. And this comes from a really, really great book called Brain Rules. So if you want to know a little bit more about how your brain works from a neuroscientist he's not an official comedian, but he's so funny. It's a great read. I'll share that book, a link to that book, in the follow-up resources. So again, let's pay attention to our context. Let's give ourselves grace. Pay attention to how you as an individual, a unique individual, are reacting to the pandemic and all of the things that are going on. Pay particular attention if you have mental health issues and seek customized support. Know that we are overwhelmed and tired we're trying to do lots and lots of things at the same time. And multitasking is physically impossible. We actually have to switch. Our brain has to switch back and forth. It's called task switching. So let's give ourselves a break. Let's give ourselves some grace. And even from the concept of wellness. When I was doing this research, I love this sense that wellness is not a state to achieve. It's not something that you're going to get there, you're going to tick off that box, and then you're going to be well for the rest of your life. It's more fluid than that. It's something that we move in and out of. And I don't know about you, but that gave me a lot of reassurance that this idea of, it's not this finite thing to check off this box, but more this fluid sort of thing. So that made me feel more well when I was researching that. And of course, when we talk about wellness, we need to talk about stress. So there are actually 3 different kinds of stress. And feel free to pop in the chat. Do you have any guesses? What are the 3 different kinds of stress? Not the causes of stress, but the 3 different kinds of stress. Feel free to put your suggestions in the chat there. So Bettina, mental, physical, and emotional. Good guess. Good guess, Bettina. Any other guesses? 3 kinds of stress? Okay. Short and long-term stress. Good guess, Crystal. Yeah. Yeah, certainly those finite things that come and go, in the immediate, and then the longer ongoing. Lindsay saying, I agree, mental, physical, emotional. Stephen, minor, major, and debilitating. Yes, actually, kind of, Stephen. Yes, yes. We have different words for it, but yes, absolutely. So you might not have heard, let me know if you've heard of these terms before. Have you heard of stress? That's the last one there. Acute and chronic. Yeah, Donna. Has anyone heard of stress? EUSTRESS. Yeah. So not all stress is bad for us. So these are the 3 different kinds of stress. And again, in the follow-up resources, yeah, Naima, you've heard about it. Yes, it's a good stress. Absolutely. And Don has heard of it. Great, great. So not all stress is bad for us. I'm going to share with you some interesting research around this. How we react to the stress is the key thing, between it being motivating and giving us energy and actually harming our body. So these 3 different kinds of stress, the most significant is distress. That's the one that can really, really cause a lot of physical harm, particularly if it happens over long term. Just the word stress, we use that to describe stressors that aren't significant. And then stress is positive stress. So can anyone give an example in the chat of stress? What's an example of stress? And it can be a personal example, or it can be something that you make up. So any example of stress? Exercise. Yeah. So if you have some nervous, getting married. Yeah, Lindsay. Yeah. That's actually a really good one. That one could fall into all 3 categories, depending on how you're feeling about the whole process of prepping to get married. Betty is promotion stress. Yeah, absolutely. I have some stress right before I start the roundtable. So no matter that I've done this for 8 years, every single time I know the few minutes before I click that button to bring you all on, I'm a little stressed. I know I can feel, my breathing is a little faster. I'm feeling a little anxious. And then as soon as I click to bring you all in, it goes away and I'm totally fine. Esther saying challenging work stress. Yeah, absolutely. That one can be in any of the 3 categories. So depending on how you feel about it. The big thing that we've now realized in the research is it's how we respond to stress that is the key. It's how we respond to stress that is the key. And there's some fascinating research around breaking the stress response cycle. So if we don't get a chance for our bodies to come back to stasis, for our bodies to regulate, that's where we can do really long-term harm. So let's talk a little bit about mapping your stress. Now, don't let your blood pressure go up there. I'm not asking for any intimate details here, but I thought it could be kind of interesting for you to map some examples. So I am going to open this page here for annotations. So if you go into into your toolbar, you should be able to see your annotations. And you should be able to, just a second here. Okay, so you should be able to see a toolbar, and if you press the T for text tool, you should be able to annotate this screen. So I'm going to give an example here of stress. So feel free to go to your toolbar. It could be on the, I think it's on the bottom of your screen as a participant. Click on annotation, then click on the T for text, and feel free to annotate this screen. So put some examples and you can copy the ones that you've put in the chat if you wish, but feel free to annotate this screen. So what are some examples of stress? What are some examples of stress? And what are some examples of distress? Lindsay, so once I start the annotation, I can't move around the screen. So I can see you're saying I'm on an iPad, but I can't see the rest of it. I'm not sure exactly how it works on an iPad. If anyone else knows, if you can see your toolbar, you should be able to click on the annotation, then T for text, and then you should be able to use your keyboard to type. The toolbar, if Rose is asking where the toolbar is, if you put your mouse down at the bottom of your page, it should pop up. There we go. So heavy workload and unrealistic deadlines. Okay, end of term discussion. Great. Okay, and that's interesting that that's under stress and not distress. Oh, Diego's saying at the top for PC at view options. Great, thanks for your help, Diego. That's great. So if you take your mouse and go to the top of your screen or the bottom, the toolbar should pop up. There we go. We've got, so taking meeting minutes with a deadline is stress. I like the line there. That's great. Okay. So, and notice that when you're doing this, horror movies, nice, nice. Okay. You might, something that someone is writing, you might think, oh, I would put that in another category. That's all to do with how we react to stress. So that's the interesting thing about being human. So we've got getting ready for the roundtable, taking meetings minutes with a deadline is stress. So that's a positive stress. Time on a treadmill. Oh, we've got someone else joining us here. Oh, I just have to pause the annotation just for a second. I think you can continue just to let someone in. There we go. Maureen and Lindsay are joining us. Maureen and Lindsay. Okay, welcome Maureen, welcome Lindsay. We are annotating a screen here on the different types of stress. So we've got stress, which is a positive stress, stress, which is sort of middle of the road, and then distress, which is the unhealthy, if it happens over a long period of time, can harm us. Car failure, horror movies, family emergencies. If you are annotating, try to move your text if you can. I think it went over, one of them went over someone else's there. Oh, Lindsay, you changed from an iPad to a laptop. Great. Oh, I'm so glad it's working. Okay. Very large tasks that seem never ending. Catching a flight or a train. Packing for a vacation is an stress. Oh, you know, that could be an interesting, I don't know, kind of fun, maybe silly thing, is to actually pack for, even though, you know, we can't go, packing for a vacation, maybe just pack a bag. I think someone's writing waiting for a flight there under stress. So notice that catching a flight or a train is distress for someone, and waiting for a flight is stress, positive stress for someone else. Also under stress, unable to make decisions due to COVID-19, absolutely. Sickness, moving a house, waiting for exam results. Spiders, yes. Oh, for me, needles, yeah, that's Yeah, those phobias that don't make sense to other people, but definitely make sense for you. End of term discussions. Yeah, great. Okay, I'm going to, oh, fireworks, distress, great. Late for an important meeting. Oh my goodness, yes, yes. Yeah, my ooh stress turned into a little bit of distress right before I was starting this roundtable. My computer shut off. It just decided to shut off, and I had to reboot it. So I was a little stressed about that. Short flight layover. Yes, running from one flight to another. Okay, great. So I am going to take a screen grab of this, and I will put this in the follow-up resources. So make sure you get your last, if there's any other ones there that you want to add, make sure you add them there. That's great. I love, so pat yourself on the back. You figured out the technology due to some collaboration that's happening in the chat, which is fantastic. And you annotated this, which is fantastic. Okay, I am going to clear the screen. That's why I took a screen grab, because otherwise it goes over all the subsequent slides, but I did take a screen grab, so don't worry, and I'll put that in the resources. Okay, great. So thank you. That was fun. Okay. So, oops. So a couple other things that came up in the research we've talked about, if you're just joining us, we talked about this importance of context, the importance of context, and realizing that we are in a very, very unusual context right now. So not trying to hold ourselves to the same standards, also figuring out our individual reactions, right? So some of us are doing better in COVID. That's not unrealistic. Some of us are doing better because there's less to do, there's less pressure. Others are doing are really not doing well. So make sure that you get support, seek out very specific support should you need it for your mental health. And then we've talked about the 3 different kinds of stressors, the stress, distress, and eustress. So a couple of other things I want to talk about before we jump into the strategies is mindset. I would love to know how many people, just pop this in the chat. Has anyone done any work on mindset? Have you done any work on mindset? Just pop that in the chat. Okay, so this is no, Veronica is joining us. Okay, not yet, says Stephen. Great, that's a great answer, Stephen. I'm so glad you're here. Heather has done some, great. Okay, so this is something I've done some research now to about the past year and a half. Oh my goodness, it's blowing my mind. So when my kids were growing up, I didn't call it this. I didn't call it mindset, but I called it brain ears. So I would always tell my kids, pay attention to what your brain ears. So that little voice, I told my kids that we had a second pair of ears inside our brain, and those ears weren't very smart. And so if the brain ears hear, if we tell ourselves we're not good at math, or we can't lift weights, or we can't do something, those brain ears believe it. They believe that to be the truth. So really, I'll put some mindset resources in the follow-up resources for members. This is a topic that has just made such a huge difference to me, and it's about paying attention to what you're telling yourself. Someone has not muted themselves. I'm just getting a private message here. So just make sure if you can mute. Oh, you know what? Actually, that's coming from me. I'm just going to mute myself just a second. Sorry, we've got more than one person working in the office here. So thank you for letting me know. It should be better now. Just let me know. Is the sound better? They weren't muted. Okay, so brain ears mindset. It's an amazing field to look into and do some research on. The most popular format for this is there's this thing called a self-coaching model. I'm not certified to teach this, so I'm just describing it very briefly, but I will put some resources for the members to follow up. And basically you follow this when you're coaching yourself on mindset, you follow this this process. So you take a look at the circumstances around you and then pay very close attention to what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and then you craft some actions and look for results after that. So that's a super, super quick introduction to mindset. If you haven't done work in that area, highly recommend it. I've read 2 books now on money mindset, which is fascinating. I had no idea that I was carrying around all these stories in my head about finances and money based on what was happening when I was growing up. So I'll share those as well. Okay, and then there's this concept about innervism. So as we get ready to jump into these exercises and activities that we'll actually do some of them, I came across this concept of innervism, which is by Elizabeth Lesser. I'll share the podcast that I learned about it, and it's this whole idea of oftentimes folks involved in social change are very focused on what's happening in the outer world, right? What's happening in our communities, what's happening with our partners, our stakeholders, our donors, our beneficiaries, our clients, our participants, etc. And we're not focused on the inner work. We're not focused on what's happening inside us. And she terms this innervism. So the idea here is that if we're focusing on innervism, it's not about going to the spa. That's not what innervism is about. It's not about blaming other people for our own isht. And you can figure out what isht stands for. I took that from Marsha Shandor. She's an amazing storytelling coach. And she has a whole Facebook group where people share things that go sideways and go wrong and upside down as a way of giving ourselves grace. I'll make a note and share that in the resources as well. She's fantastic. So it's about doing the work of what's going on inside us, how are we feeling, what's our mindset, where's our mindset at, and taking responsibility for ourselves. It's about leaning with. So I love, we talk about leaning into things, but sometimes that can be very focused on not looking at structural change. But rather focusing on a rather conservative view of theory of change. So this is more about leaning with and about not self-care, but our care, which I thought was fantastic. I really like that notion. So doing, really focus on our inner self, what's happening, taking responsibility, being a human being that we're proud of being, that, good communication skills, good conflict resolution skills, good collaboration skills, etc. So again, and then was anyone part of the roundtable where I did the map? Just let me know in the chat if that was. I'll put a link to that in the resources. This comes from Daniel Pink's work, and he says that for human beings to be well, for us to be psychologically well, we need a map. We need mastery. We need to have a sense that we, are experts in something. We need autonomy. We need to have some sense of control over our lives, and we need purpose. We need a higher purpose. So that's something that you can also look at when you're talking about innervism. And I'll link to the roundtable where I talk about the map tool. I explain it in much more detail. Okay, so I've got a ton of blog posts and podcasts and books and all of that I researched to put together that information. So if you want that, make sure that you're a member of the roundtable. Okay, and I'll put the link to join is in your agenda, and I'll also put it at the end of the roundtable. Okay, any questions so far? Any questions so far? How would you rate your wellness right now? How would you rate your wellness on a scale from 1 to 5? which 1 is you're feeling extremely challenged, and 5 is you're feeling extremely well. So we've got a 3-ish. By the way, I read out some of the chat because when people are watching the recordings, the chat doesn't show up on the screen. We've got a 4, we've got a 2.5, a 3, and there's no judgment on this. Whatever your number is, it's more to be aware for yourself what your number is. We've got another 3-ish, 3.87. That's great. A 3, lots of 3s. Okay. So just above the midline. Okay, great. I've got a 2. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and again, particularly if you're on the lower scale, spend some time mapping your stress and what is causing you the distress and take some action around that with these strategies that I'm going to share with you. We've got another 2. Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Okay, so I've got 18 strategies here. So I've divided them into 18 strategies for your mind, your body, and your spirit. But first, I have 3 pieces of advice for you, quite important pieces of advice. So one is, I think it's really important to talk about spirit, but I think that that's a topic that we can have a lot of conflict about. People have very strong opinions. So I will ask for your to give grace and to be open and inclusive, however people, whatever language they use to talk about spirit, whether that's religion, spirituality, God, goddesses, deity, universal intelligence, whatever you're using. So just be a bit cautious about that topic. And please, please, please stay in the driver's seat. So I'm going to share 6 strategies for mind, 6 for body, 6 for spirit. Some won't fit you. That all of these strategies are not going to fit your context. I can almost guarantee that. So stay in the driver's seat. Pick the ones that delight you and bring some surprise and some curiosity, and use those. So you're in control of that. And I would strongly recommend that you pick diverse strategies. So, for example, if at the end of this you get to the end and you say, I've picked everything to do with mind and nothing to do with body and spirit, that could be an interesting thing to reflect on if you're avoiding some of the things in those categories. So try to get at least one strategy for mind, one for body, one for spirit. Okay, so let's jump in. So I'm going to explain 6 different strategies for each one, and then we're gonna practice with a couple of them. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so the first one, so has anyone seen on YouTube, on the Zoom screens or the, any other platform where people are trying to pass a teddy bear from one to the other? Have you seen that on the screen before? I'm just watching the chat. Some are saying no, some are saying yes. Okay, so we're actually going to try that in a few minutes. It's a fun, you have to pay attention and see how you do this. So to do that, you're going in a minute or two, you're going to need a pen or a pencil. So try to have that handy. Another one is learning a new skill, right? Is there something that matches in the land of learning and development? We call it the zone of proximal development, which is a fancy term of saying, is there a new skill that you can learn that stretches you a little bit, but not so much that it's going to cause stress? So for me, I'm taking up cross stitching. I've never done it before. It's really simple. I can get all the supplies in Nairobi, which is where now I'm in Vancouver, but I normally live in Nairobi. So these are some little snow people that I am cross stitching, and it's something I can do when I'm listening to a podcast. Please don't take away that I'm recommending cross stitching. If you want to do that, that's great. But the message I'm trying to share is to pick up a new skill that is a little bit challenging for you, but not so challenging that you're going to, be even more stressed about it. So think about that. a fortune teller, play some games. We've got a fortune teller we're going to use and play in just a few minutes. Something really, really simple. Puzzles are great for your brain. They do a lot of, we have this thing called neuroplasticity, which is where the neurons, the dendrites can regrow. And puzzles are really fantastic. They help us use both hemispheres of our brain. So in the follow-up resources, I'll share a crossword puzzle with you that you can do if you wish. And another one is two truths and a wish. That was the example that I shared with you. I love playing this with friends and colleagues and even people, my partner, I've been with him 30 years, my husband, we still to this day, much to his chagrin, I'll get him to play two truths and a wish. So that's a really fun, easy one to do. And then finally, finding a picture, just being very deliberate, being very strategic about finding memes, gifs, pictures, etc., that make you happy, give you a giggle or something like that. So let's practice. Actually, first of all, are there any questions about any of those? Any questions? So my goal for you is when I was researching this to find super simple things that didn't cost any money that you can do pretty much anywhere. So we're going to try a few of these. We don't have time for all of them, but we're going to try some of them. So let's, I'm just going to stop the share here. And if you're able to, I know bandwidth can be an issue for some people, but if you're able to, oh, Diana, your screen picture is great. That's so great. If you're able to put your camera on, please. So put your camera on. Hey, Stephen. Hi, Donna. Crystal, hi. And Heather and Daniela and Hind and Diana. Looks like Mayumi. Oh, Esther's coming on. Hi, Mayumi. Camille. Okay, great. Great. Okay, so give yourself some grace. We're just experimenting with this. So you're going to need a pen or a pencil. And if you don't have a pen or a pencil, just grab something that's handy. And we're going to try to pass it from one person to another. So Stephen, on my screen, you are to my right. You're to my right. So I'm going to try to get this pen over to you. So Stephen, are you okay if I demo with you?
Yes.
Okay, and folks can unmute if you like. And you might have a different configuration. Actually, let me know in the chat. Is Stephen beside, am I in your upper left-hand corner of everyone's screen? You can just nod and is Stephen beside me? Daniela, you're shaking your head. No, okay, so we have a relatively large group, so this might look a little disjointed, but it's a global pandemic. So our options for what we accept are totally flexible and with ease. So here we go. So Stephen, I'm going to try to pass this to you. So what you're going to do is try to grab it from your opposite end theirs, and you're going to have a pen appear in your hand. So it's like I'm going to pass this to you. Okay, makes sense? Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to give this to you, and you're going to pull it out of my hand. Hey, it worked! It worked. Okay, so this is a little bit of a free for all because I know people have different people beside them. So, and you can even catch it. Like if someone is passing it to you from above, and they're right above you, but maybe they're on their screen, they're in a different place. Just play around with it. So Stephen, who do you want to try to, on my screen, Bettina is to your right.
Okay.
Is where is she? But you can decide who do you want to pass this to?
No, that's fine. This is going up to Bettina.
Oh, okay, great. So Bettina, you're going to reach up. Bettina, yep. Okay, and pretend to grab it. And when you pull it down, you're going to have your pen in your hand. Oh, magic. Okay, Bettina, who do you want to give it to?
I want to give it to Crystal Sylvester.
Ah, great. Okay, so Crystal might be on a different place in your screen, so just let her know which direction is it coming from.
It will come from above,
Okay.
and it's I am right next to you at the moment on the
Okay.
right hand side, and Crystal is on the third row, right next to Daniela Romagnoli. Sorry about my German accent. But I
Okay.
will pass it from above.
Okay, great.
Crystal, you get it?
Hey. Oh, and we have Jacqueline joining. And I happen to know that both Daniela and Crystal are coming to us from Saudi. They're in Saudi Arabia. So welcome, welcome. Okay, we'll do it a few more times. Crystal, who do you want to pass the pen to? And Crystal, you're muted.
To Diana.
Diana. Okay, and I think we have more than one Diana on the call. So is it Diana Wangui? Okay. Hi, Diana. Nice to see you. Okay, and which direction are you passing?
I'm passing to Mike, so going this direction.
For me, the sound got garbled a bit there. Oh, maybe your camera's, oh no, there you are. Okay, so tell us again, which way are you going?
So it'll be to the right of my box.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so you get the idea. If you Google this on YouTube, people are passing teddy bears around the screen. Usually when you do it, you have a smaller group, but I just wanted to give you a sense. And also, depending on what you like to imbibe, I thought it could be fun socially to try to pass a glass of wine or a beer or whatever, like around the screen. So, okay, so that's,
Really wish we could.
yeah, I know. Hey, yeah, yeah. Some of you, yeah, in Saudi, yes, yes. Yeah, Camille, I know some of you have a different configuration. Yeah, it's much easier to do in a smaller group, but it's just kind of a fun, like again on YouTube, there's people passing teddy bears around, pens, and if you get it really choreographed, it's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so the other one I wanted to show you is this, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. There's lots of different online activities that you can do. So can you see, just let me know in the chat if you can see a fortune teller, what I call a fortune teller. You might recognize this from growing up. Okay, great. So this is the, let me just grab I'm just going to grab the URL and feel free to, I'm putting the URL in the chat. So someone, I'll do a demonstration. Someone pick one of these colors, red, green, yellow, or blue. Put that in the chat, red. Okay, so you click on red and it'll do its thing. Now choose a number, pick a number, 1, 2, 3, or 4, 4. Okay. And select another number, 3, okay, and you get your fortune. So this is on my website because I believe so passionately in engaging people and making things interesting and innovative and creative. This is something that's on the homepage on my website. And so just take a moment now. I'm going to pause the recording and feel free to play your fortune. So let me just stop the recording just for a second. Recording. So folks, we're just doing the RPS fortune teller, having some fun with that. And the other one that I really wanted to get you to do, and I'll pause while you're doing this, is to please go and find a meme, a GIF, or a picture that represents wellness to you. So please go and find a meme, a picture, or a GIF that represents wellness. And I'm just going to pause the recording here. Okay, so we're recording again, and the amazing, incredible members of the roundtable are creating a Padlet, which you can see on the screen. And this is our vision of wellness. So these are things that make us feel well. So I will put this link in the follow-up resources, and you can continue to add to it. Look at the cat. That's great. Oh, and look, I wish I could have this cow's peace of mind. I already have its body. Oh, Bettina's saying it's a unicorn eating chocolate. Okay. Oh, awesome. Oh, yes. Chocolate is definitely part of my wellness. Okay. Fantastic. Well done. Well done. So you have that link. So if you haven't had a chance to post yet, and by the way, can I just say, had anyone used a Padlet before? Had anyone used a Padlet before? Oh, okay. So everyone's saying no. So you figured it out. Like super easy. Padlet's incredible. I'll share this link as well. I just did a blog post. I don't know if it's gone live yet, but all the different things you can do with Padlet. So I will share that with you. Okay, so let's go back here. You've still got that link, so feel free to continue adding to it. And we're going to continue on with this amazing group and our wellness. So we've talked about a bunch of things connected to wellness, dissing the hype about balance. We've mapped our stresses, and we've gone through 6 different super simple. I mean, you could not get easier, right? This is not meant to be complicated, but super, super simple 6 techniques for mind. So unless there's any questions, I'll just monitor the chat here. People have used a new tech tool, a Padlet, to create a vision of wellness, which is fantastic, and I'll share with the members. So let's go back here. Let's talk about body. So I'm going to share 6 techniques, little tiny micro strategies to do with body. And one is stretching. I'll explain the bubble gum in a minute. So I'll go through all 6, and then we'll come back and practice a couple of them. So one is stretching. Does anyone make it a habit to stretch regularly? Do we have any people who make it a habit to stretch your body regularly? Oh, good, good. Oh, lots of people. Way to go, Lindsay, Mayumi, Heather. Every night, Lindsay, for 30 minutes. That's fantastic. Camille does yoga, Bettina, great. Yeah, there's Stephen, fantastic. So I'll send you this blog post, actually. We are at a risk of we're at a higher risk of getting 30 diseases based on our increased rate of sitting. 30 diseases. So simple things like stretching is super helpful, super easy, and makes a big difference. Hi, Diana, welcome back. Janet's saying she stretches every morning. Great. So I'm going to show you potentially a new way to stretch. We'll see. But let me go through all 6 before we start practicing. Breathe. In addition to stretching, focusing on our breath is, I think with the pandemic, people are really aware of the, how much our bodies are oxygenated. So having different breathing techniques, many different ways to do that. I think I've got one in the follow-up resources. Does anyone have any breathing techniques that they use? There's ones where you can cover different nostrils. One of the simplest, feel free to share if anyone has specific techniques in the chat. 3 inhales, 6 exhales, says Hind. Yeah, if you're in a state of agitation, a very simple way to bring your body back to stasis, back to regularize, is to breathe out longer than you breathe in. So if you breathe in for a count of 3, breathe out for a count of 6 or 9. But the bigger that differential, the faster and better your body will regulate. It is an amazingly powerful technique. Let me know in the chat if anyone's done that before. Does anybody use that technique of exhaling longer than the inhale is? I'd love to know in the chat. Let me know. And yes, great. Oh, yes. Okay, great. So some people have tried it. Some people are going to try it. Great. Yeah, it is such a powerful technique. Okay, and what about pressure points? Does anybody use pressure points to help your body if you're in a sense of agitation, stress, etc.? So Esther counts into inhalations. Yeah, some people, another one is pretend you've got a box, getting back to the breathing. So you inhale coming up the box, exhale coming across, inhale coming down, and exhale coming across. What about pressure points? Does anyone, tapping? Yes. I'll share some tapping resources. If people haven't heard, that's a very specific type of pressure point. So there's a whole series of body parts that you can tap in certain order while you're saying some things. It is a incredibly powerful technique. Lindsay's saying, I have a foam trigger point roller. Yes, travel everywhere with it. Yeah. So those big, round, long rollers you can use for your shoulders and backs. There's some other ones too. Like for example, if you get migraines or headaches, if you pinch your earlobe, and again, I am not an expert in this, so I'm coming to you as a learning and development person, not as a holistic health practitioner or a doctor or physio or any of that. So we've got people who use balls between the thumb and finger. Yes, so yes, and I happen to know that Stephen has migraines. So yeah, if you pinch right here in the web, this can really help with headaches, or you pinch your earlobe. So, oh, someone's having to leave. You're so welcome. Hope you have a good meeting. Make sure if you want the resources that you're signed up, and hope to see you next time. Bye, Camille. So far we've got stretching, we've got breathing, we've got pressure points. Lindsay's saying massaging the inside of your palm with the thumb of the other hand. Yeah, our bodies are incredibly complicated, mostly self-regulating. We don't have to think about breathing and blinking. And for people who are able-bodied, if we want to stand up, we stand up. And some simple things can help us when we're not feeling well to bring us back to feeling better. Hugs. Has anyone done this before? The research behind this is incredible. Hugs increase serotonin, decrease the stress hormones, decrease blood pressure, etc. Very, very powerful technique for 20 seconds that they say to hold the hug for 20 seconds. Janet saying, I've tried tapping so many times over the years, but always feel a bit silly doing it or get a bit bored partway through. I know other people swear by it though. Yeah. Yeah. So all of these techniques, not all 18 are going to be for everyone. So just pick the ones that work for you. Lindsay saying virtual hugs. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then the fifth one here is drinking water. I'm not at home in Nairobi, but I actually hang elastic bands, like the hair bands. I hang 6 of them off of my water bottle. And every time I fill up my water bottle, I take it off of here and I put it on it here as a way to remind me to try to drink 6 of those a day. One of the most simplest, assuming that you have access to clean, healthy water, it's one of the most simplest thing you can do for your body. Josephine saying no hugs because of COVID-19. I have a different way of doing a hug, so hang on to that, Josephine, but thank you for reminding us for sure. Crystal saying it was interesting to observe the various types of hugs you can have in your world. Do you mean from that picture, Crystal, on the Padlet? I'm not sure what you mean there. Let us know. Bettina's saying I've practiced rubber bands around my wrist and twitch them when I get agitated. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I'm so grateful that you're sharing all of these ideas and such. There's so much wisdom in this group, and it's a real community. So thank you for doing that. Okay, and then the sixth one is to dance. Dance, 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 dance. So I have my mother-in-law gave me this little plaque thing that sits on my desk in my office at home in Nairobi. If you can walk, you can dance. If you can talk, you can sing. I think we give ourselves so much negative mindset self-talk. You know, we can feel so awkward and embarrassed and such. So dancing for me, you know, particularly is my medicine. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and come back to the large screen. If you're comfortable, so we're going to do a quick stretching exercise. And if you're comfortable, feel free to put your camera on. We've got a couple other comments coming in. Lindsay saying perhaps eating chocolate is an internal hug. Yes, yeah. Oh, I will not tell you how many bars of chocolate I have in my suitcase. When I looked at the price difference between Nairobi and here, I eat dark chocolate, so they were on sale and I bought a lot of bars of chocolate. Danielle is saying, I'm with you, Lindsay. And Crystal saying, how can you give a hug with intention or connection or just as a polite greeting? I have a suggestion in a second, Crystal. Yeah, because for sure, we want to be safe. So if you're comfortable, feel free to turn your camera on. And then if you're able to, feel free to stand up. I'm going to stay on camera, so I'm actually not going to stand. But if you're okay to stand up, on the count of 3, unmute yourself and tell us your favorite flavor of bubblegum. And if you don't have a favorite flavor of bubblegum, just yell out your favorite fruit or something like that. So your favorite flavor of bubblegum, 1, 2, 3, go.
Pineapple.
Mint.
Strawberries.
Pineapple, mint, strawberry. Great. Okay.
Grapes.
So grapes, nice. Okay, so I want you to pretend that you are a piece of bubble gum, and someone has you in there and you're getting chewed. So this stick of bubble gum is getting chewed. Okay, it's getting, and your knees are moving, and your calves, and your feet, and your head, and your chest. Okay, and of course, what do you do with a bubble? You blow a bubble. So this bubble is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is like the most, world record breaking bubble. It is so huge, big, big, big stretch, even more, even more. And on the count of 3, this bubble is going to pop and deflate. 1, 2, 3, pop. There you go. Super simple, right? Cannot get easier than that. Okay, so that's the bubblegum stretching technique. And depending on how self-conscious you are, you may want to suggest that for a team meeting or not, depending on the culture of your team, etc. The other one, the hug, that's come up a lot. So I am actually going to time us. I'm going to be a little bit kind of scientific here because I want to make sure that we get to 20 seconds. And I invite you, and you can do this with your camera on or not. I invite you to give yourself a hug. Give yourself a hug. So here we go for 20 seconds. So give yourself a big hug. Big, as much as you can get your arms around yourself and just cuddle in. Oh, I put it on for 20 minutes. Don't worry, we're not going to hold here for 20 minutes. You might want to rock, or, if you have a favorite child lullaby, you could even hum that to yourself. Or okay, that's about 30 seconds. So just take a stretch. Okay, so I know it's obviously very, very difficult to not be close to loved ones. We flew to Vancouver. This is where in the areas where both of my kids live, and we were quarantining for 2 weeks, and it was really stressful to not be so close to my kids and not be able to see them. So potentially you can hug someone by hugging yourself and be on screen with them and watch them give themselves a hug. So okay, and then the last one I wanted to practice is dancing. Who's up for a little dance party here? I have hopefully a inspiring song for you. share sound. When I share the sound from my computer, I notice that my level of sound doesn't always match your level of sound. So especially if you have other people around, you don't have headphones, be prepared to turn it up or turn it down. Okay, so here we go for, okay, so here is, just let me know if you can.
This little light of mine.
Can you hear it?
I'm gonna let it
Okay.
shine.
So feel free to get up.
This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. This little light. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine. Little light. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
That was a quiet intro, and then we'll do a little bit more energetic one.
You're a good soldier, choosing your battles. Pick yourself up and dust yourself off and back in the saddle. You're on the front line, everyone's watching. You know it's serious, we're getting closer, this isn't over. The pressure's on, you feel it, but you got it all, believe it. When you fall, get up, oh, oh, and if you fall, get up, eh, eh. Tamina, mina, sangalewa, cause this is Africa. Tamina, mina, eh, eh, waka, waka, eh, eh. Tamina, mina, sangalewa, this time for Africa.
Okay. A little bias there, living in Nairobi. I'm missing Nairobi. Okay. So any comments, we did some really quick, we've talked about 6 techniques for mind, 6 techniques for body. Any comments, any questions before we go into the last one, which is spirit? We've got a little bit of feedback, so just if you can mute yourself if you haven't already, that would be great. Rose is saying, great, great, Mary, great. You guys are great. I'm so lucky to do this. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Just let me know in the chat if you can see the screen again. Josephine said Jerusalem. I'm not sure. Enjoy the energy of the dance. Fun after midnight. Mayumi, is it after midnight there? Oh, you are a rock star. Refreshing. Yeah, so chemically, physiologically, oh my goodness, you are a total rock star. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, these time zones are tough. I was doing training at 4:30 in the morning a couple times. Oh, Heather, it's 4:30 for you. Wow. Thank you, a million thank yous for being here. But pay attention to your body now. Like a couple people have said, refreshing. You probably feel a little bit different after you did a stretch. The hug, the dance, and it didn't cost any money, didn't take any time. Bettina's saying, amazing to see the wake of day in Canada. Yes, the sun is up. Yes. Yeah, great. So super simple. Lindsay said, I made a dance video to James Blunt's song, Okay, and sent it to my parents in early days of COVID. Oh, that's so nice. I was celebrating the birthday of a friend who was very far away from me and has had a horrible year for many different reasons. Just tragic, absolute tragic. And we had a global birthday party. There were people from all over the world coming in, and I did some DJing. I just played some music and we danced, and it was great. Yeah, we had a really good time. So thank you. Thank you for participating. Thank you for trying something potentially new for some of you. I appreciate you. And again, I just want to underline the context that we're operating in is extraordinarily difficult. So these are really, really simple strategies. Okay. Can we move on to the, just give me a yes in the chat. Are you okay to move on to the last? We've done mind and body. We'll do 6 for spirit now. Okay, great. Okay, so I said this before, and I just really want to highlight it again, that while talking about spirit can be incredibly uplifting and divine and beautiful and peaceful and lovely and nourishing, there are wars fought over religion, spirituality, etc. So I don't expect to have any issues with you, my lovely community, but just take care with language, assumptions, and judgment. There's no judgment about what kind of religion or spirituality people practice here. So translate what I'm saying into your practice of spirit, into the language that you use. Okay, so 6 strategies for spirit. So one is a guided visualization. I've done these on a couple of the calls, and they're always really well received. You can find these on apps. You can find these on YouTube, on Spotify. There's something about combining a visualization with calm, quiet, almost meditative, that helps us just connect to higher powers, to our spirit, to the fact that we are really a very small global village. Some of you might have seen this on other, I think I've shared this once, maybe twice before. There's actually a website that where you do nothing for 2 minutes. And if you move your mouse, it knows that, and it will encourage you to start again. And yeah, Mayumi, you've seen it. Great with me. And you can have it with or without the sound of waves, and it may or may not have music. I'm not sure. Mayumi, let me know if it has music or not. So that's, sometimes 2 minutes is all we need to pray, to meditate, to just connect to more than our physical being, that we are beings with spirit. Mayumi said it with music. Great. Yeah. And you can have that choice of quiet or not. Okay, another technique is pay attention to your yearnings. Again, I am not a counselor, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but the research really shows to pay attention to how you're feeling. And if you need to cry and weep and sob and seek spiritual guidance, make sure that you're making space to do that. And also, if you're in a work situation and it's not appropriate, you can temporarily help yourself feel better simply by smiling. It's called biopsychoimmunology. It's a very long word, but basically our bodies don't know that there's no reason to smile. But if our bodies feel us smiling, we automatically feel better. That's only temporary. I'm not saying that, all we have to do is put on a happy face and everything will be better. But again, pay attention to how you're feeling. If you need to cry, if you need to weep, if you need to punch your pillow and talk to God and rage and talk to spirit, universal intelligence, whatever your language is, do that. And if you're in the middle of a situation where it's not appropriate to do that, if you smile temporarily, your body will actually feel better temporarily. And I love this image here, smile and laughter. We learn to laugh before we learn to walk or talk. So, and everyone smiles in the same language. Meditation. This image here comes from something like when children talk to God. And this is from this little child, Elliot, who says, "Dear God, I think about you sometimes, even when I'm not praying," which I think is lovely. So whatever, if you want to substitute pray for meditation, whatever works in your world, in your practice, in your culture, feel free to do that, and make space and time for that. Creative expression. I think there is something divine about expressing ourselves creatively. So whether that's going outside and watching the sunrise or the sunset, or making a piece of art, drawing, painting, there are lots of different ways to express yourself creatively, and to watch your self-talk about that. We have someone else joining us here. Oh, Danielle is joining us again. So creative expression. Welcome back, Daniela. Creative expression is a really important one. And then finally, laughter. This quote of mine, to stand tall, be brave in the face of indifference, and remember to laugh. Laughter is medicine. It's medicine for the soul. It helps us to connect to spirit, to divine, to God, what have you. Okay, so those are a couple of ideas for spirit. We're going to try a few of them, but any ideas that you have that you want to add in the chat when you want to connect to more than our physical self and be part of this universe, this incredible tribe of humans, this global village. Any things that you do for spirit? Feel free to pop that in the chat. And I know also that this can be a very private practice, right? Can be, in some parts of the world, practicing this can be dangerous. Okay, well, I want to give you a chance to just relax and connect. Oh, we've got listening to music and singing. Oh, those are great. Absolutely. Sitting under the sun. Yeah, that feel of the sun on your cheek, the wind on your face. Yeah. Okay, I am going to invite you to relax, and I'm going to take us through a very brief visualization. So I'm going to, I'm going to play some music quietly, and feel free to change the volume as you wish. So I invite you to sit back and close your eyes, or if you feel more comfortable, let your gaze soften, and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And in through your nose and out through your mouth. And take a scan of your body and notice where you have any tension. Think about where your tongue is lying. We hold a lot of stress in our jaw. Place your tongue on the bottom of your mouth. And if your mind wanders, bring it back to your breath, taking a deep breath in through your nose, paying attention to the slight coolness coming into your nose and the heat as you exhale. And relax your eyebrows and your nose and your cheeks. Relax your shoulders, bring them down and back. Relax your hands and your fingers. Relax your stomach and your thighs. And now imagine that you are in a place that you feel completely comfortable, completely well, completely safe. Could be a place that you know. It could be a made-up place. Maybe you're floating on a cloud, warm breeze. But you are well, you are safe, you are calm, you are comfortable. And just imagine that we're a couple years into the future and everything is well with you. You are peaceful, you are flourishing. And just for a minute, I'm going to play the music again and ask you to visualize, what does that look like for you? What does wellness mean to you? What is that vision that you hold in your mind, in your body, in your spirit of wellness? Just take a minute and think about that vision of wellness for you. Now that you have that vision, you may, after our time together, you may want to write it down. You may want to meditate or pray about it. You may want to journal. You may want to create a piece of art or create an affirmation. But for now, bring your attention back to your room, back to our community, back to November 19th, 2020. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and take a deep breath and give yourself a mental pat on the back. You are, with grit and grace, you are moving through this complicated, complex, upside down time in our life, in our world. So congratulations. If there's anything you want to share about your vision, and there's no pressure, but anything you want to share, feel free to pop that in the chat. Pardon me. And as we start to shift into, we're going to start closing soon, but before we do that, I wanted to do 2 other techniques that are linked to spirit. And if you're comfortable, you can turn on your camera for this one. And officially, we're going to do the biopsychoimmunology, which is essentially, we are going to smile. So if you're comfortable, turn on your camera. And I'm going to time us for 30, we'll do say 30 seconds. And I want you to pay attention to how your body is feeling right now. And by the way, this is going to feel really strange, and your mindset might be telling you, this doesn't make any sense. I feel weird. I feel awkward. This is just what is this Mzungu getting us to do? But just see how you feel after 30 seconds. And the bigger you can smile, the better. Okay, so I'm just asking you to smile for 30 seconds. Mayumi's getting ready there. I like that. Okay, so here we go. So go. So your only task is to smile, and as big as you can, as big as you can. Gorgeous Rosa, gorgeous Diana, Heather, Donna, Mayumi, Alexandra, Bettina, Stephen, Hind, Crystal, Lindsay. Fantastic. Okay, and pause. Oh, hi, Betty. So any comments? Did that, I did it a very short time. We ideally would have done it for about a minute. But what you're doing is changing your physiology. Your stress hormones have, oh, Bettina's saying smile is catching. Yeah, it can feel really awkward. And again, I want to really highlight and underline that this is not meant to solve long-standing, difficult issues around stress. January 20th, 2021. But in the moment, if you need a very quick pick-me-up, it is a very strong science evidence-based technique. And you all look fantastic smiling. Smiling is a bit like laughing. It's contagious. And speaking of laughing, I have a request for you. Well, I have a request for you and a birthday gift for you. So I've just shared an email in the text there. It's laughter@rpsinc.ca. Laughter is very, very contagious. When we are laughing, we're using our prefrontal cortex, which is the most sophisticated parts of our brain. And also the same part of the brain that we use for creativity, innovation, strategic thinking, all that higher order thinking. So I would love it if you would record yourself laughing, just an audio. I just need audio, an audio recording. And if you send it to that address, what I'm in the middle of doing with my assistant is we're creating a laughter tape, all these different laughters, and we're stringing them together into an audio file, and I will send it back to you. So please, and again, I don't need video. It's just an audio tape. And on the count of 3, I think we need some practice. So on the count of 3, unmute yourself. And by the way, if anyone's done laughter yoga, this is part of laughter yoga. Unmute yourself. And on the count of 3, I know it feels kind of strange, but feel free to laugh. So on the count of 3, feel free to giggle, chortle, just, softly or big, whatever you want. 1, 2, 3. Is music to my ears. And particularly, I think, did someone have a little one in the background? I thought I heard a child laughing, which is fantastic.
Possibly.
Oh, this is so great. Oh, Daniela said the same thing. Okay, so thank you. Just so fantastic. I am going to go back to sharing the screen, and as I guide us into the top of the hour here, we've just got a couple more minutes. So we've talked about some of the research. I'm just monitoring the chat here. Oh, Mary's asking when the next, oh, there were 4, you've got 4 kids, Kristen. Wow, hats off to you. Mary, I'm not sure when the next session is. Thank you for asking. I'll talk about that in just a minute. And I love that you are keen. And I hope to see everyone at the next one. I'll talk about that in just a second. In the meantime, I love, as we start to summarize here, the truth is that falling hurts. COVID is making everyone more stressed, more anxious, more angry, more scared. And the dare is to keep being brave and feel your way back up, which all of you are doing. So thank you for your courage. And thank you for stretching. The risk is really in not being able to stretch, because if you don't, you never know what you can do, and you'll sit at home and wonder. That's a quote by Michael Strahan. Mary, you're asking in the chat, is it possible to include this team during the next session? Mary, I'm not sure what you mean by include this team. Tell me more in the chat, and I'm happy to answer your question there. Okay, so we have done a lot. You are total rock stars, or country music stars, or opera, whatever your music of choice, your genre is. We've mapped your stressors. We've talked about some surprisingly simple ways to handle stress, which is about the stress reaction cycle and breaking that. We've tried to banish the hype about wellness and balance, that it's this state that you achieve and then forevermore you're going to be well and balanced. We talked about innervism. We've talked about the context, and really, really, really paying attention to the global context of the pandemic, as well as the uniquely you context and how you are handling this situation. Mary's saying the same people, just in case we miss the next link. So Mary, I will send out an email to all the Learning and Development Roundtable members, get invitations to the meeting. So all you need to do is just make sure that you're a member of the Roundtable, and you will get all the invitations. So I'd love to know, just pop a comment in the chat. What are you curious to try? What do you want to look more into? What did you learn from today? I'd love to know. Betty's saying, is it possible to send us the presentation? Yes. So all the members, I'll show you here, just a second here. So make sure if you are UN staff that you fill in the attendance sheet, and then you get credit for this for your UN mandated training. If you want the resources, you need to be a member of the Roundtable, and I will put that link in the chat in just a second. So anyone is welcome to participate in any Roundtable as long as they're interested in learning and training and education development. But to get the PowerPoint, etc. So you'll get the PowerPoint, the audio recording, the video recording, all the research that I used. So links to books and podcasts, and the research. Oh, I also have a little gift, 24 little cards to rejuvenate you. So only members get that. So you do need to be signed up to get those. So action items for you is watch your email for the 2021 meeting schedule. I'll come up with those dates quite soon. Give me ideas for workshop topics. I'm always open to that. Fill in the attendance sheet only if you're a UN staff. Only UN staff need to do that. Make sure you're a member, and you'll get all of those resources. I generally send them. It takes a couple days for my team to get the resources sorted, and so I'll send the email out next week. And please, 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 please record yourself laughing, just audio, not video, and send it to that email, laughter@rpsinc.ca. As I said, I'm making this laughter loop tape, and I'll send it back to you. It'll take some time to put together, but I will send it to you. And then please contact me if you want further support around team building, tech tools, or training of trainers. I would be more than happy to chat with you about that and see if there's a way that we can work together. So I am going to stop the recording and say goodbye, but I will post some links in the chat. So thank you. Oh, I'm going to say hello to your future self. So anyone who is watching this in the future, thank you for popping by. We appreciate you. Learning is so important. It's, I think, the most important skill in this world right now. So thanks for stepping in and stepping up to learning.